Right, so welcome back to the channel. Now, the transfer news is flooding in thick and fast, but unfortunately for individual clubs, sometimes there is a little bit of a lull in the news. And that seems to be the case for Leeds at the moment. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do a mid-table Premier League season review. I'm going to go through the table, talk about the teams and where they are, and also compare it to my predictions that I made at the start of the year and see how far off I was. If you are here purely for the Leeds transfer content, please don't worry, there will be a video coming out tomorrow on some more updated news on the likely transfers. But let's get straight into it. Right at the bottom of the table... table? Right at the bottom of the table, Sheffield United. Yeah. Who saw this coming? No wins in the season so far, only picking up 2 points. They've had a shocker of a season, and there were rumours actually floating around the last couple of days that Chris Wilder could potentially walk away from the job, seeing as how he's really not getting anything out of the Sheffield United players. I, for one, definitely didn't see this coming. I had Sheffield 11th at the start of the season, and you know, some people did predict this. They've been hit with the second season syndrome. They're just not scoring goals. They're toothless up front. £20 million new signing, Ryan Brewster, appears to be spending more of his time on the bench than he is doing up front. And I think at this point it's pretty unanimous that Sheffield United are probably a sure bet for relegation. And it'll be a shame to see him go. 19th, West Brom. Again, this one could have been called. It was predicted. I had him at 18th. They've made the change from Slaven Bilic to a big Sam Allardyce in the hopes of keeping them up. But the results aren't changing for them at the moment. Shipping in 5 goals against Leeds, 4 against Arsenal. I don't see where West Brom are going to pick up the points from. There appears to be a lack of basic quality, especially in the attacking third. Players like Grady Diangana, Matheus Pereira, they're not clicking for some reason, and they're not showing the same ruthlessness that we saw from them in the Championship. West Brom, I don't think are surviving, and those are the 2 teams that I'm pretty certain are going down. 18th currently are Fulham. Under Scott Parker, they're playing some decent football, but results have been few and far between at Craven Cottage this year. I predicted Fulham to be bottom of the pack at the start of the year, but I've been pleasantly surprised in patches. And I do reckon that Fulham will have enough in the tank to take them out of the relegation places. Not too far out, mind you, but I do think that they will have enough to survive. 17th are Brighton at the moment, and there are calls along the south coast for Graham Potter to relinquish his position. Brighton are playing some good football, nice possession stats going on there, but they're not converting those that good football into results. No wins in 18 games, I believe now. It's a long winless run. For me, I can see Brighton, going down into the bottom 3. Wouldn't be sad to see them go, in all honesty. I did predict them to finish 16th at the start of the season. There's not a whole lot of quality that I can see to get them further up the table. I would not be surprised by a change of manager soon. 16th are Burnley. Now, Burnley spent most of the season so far in the bottom 3, but they appear to have clawed their way back out under Sean Dyche. Really resilient at the back and digging their heels in to get those results. And they're starting to come along nicely. Picking up 7 points in the last 4 games. Burnley, I think, are heading up in the table. I did actually predict them to finish 13th, and I think that's kind of where they're headed for at the moment. There's a couple of teams above them at the moment that I see are heading on a downwards trajectory, and I think Burnley are, they're being quiet about it, they're being subtle, but I reckon they're heading up the table. In 15th, we have Newcastle. Now, Newcastle are in dire form at the moment under Steve Bruce, and the football matches that. It's really, really very uninspiring at the moment. Not a whole lot of quality going forwards, really deep, lines at the back. But they are shipping in goals, and, I know a lot of people are unhappy under Steve Bruce, but a change of management doesn't look like it's going to be happening at the moment. And I do fear for Newcastle. I had them as underdogs in my predictions. I had them 10th. At that point, though, we still assumed that the big takeover was going to happen. Now that the investment doesn't look to be coming in, Newcastle are one of those teams where I do see that the only way is down. They're going to get relegated this year? No, probably not. But I really don't see them being any higher up than 15th in the table. Just above them in 14th, Crystal Palace. And they're another team that I pretty much had this one bang on. I did predict Palace to be in 14th. Yeah, they're one of those teams where they'll pick up a few wins, points here and there. Zaha was firing on all cylinders at the start of the season, but seems to have gone off the boil a bit. Is he looking for a move in the January window? Palace fans will know that better than I do. But I haven't been hugely impressed by Palace so far this season. They did spank Leeds 4-1 earlier on, but I think there were some other mitigating circumstances there. I reckon Palace are going to be, solidly in that lower half of the table, mid-table race. It's quite congested at the moment with them and a couple of other teams, and putting together a few wins on the bounce could see a real shift in form. 13th, Wolves. Wolves have not had the season I thought they would. I had them a little bit further up the table than this. Obviously, they suffered a big injury for Raul Jimenez with the fractured skull in the Arsenal game. Horrible injury. And since then, they have struggled to score goals. They're actually looking really poor on the form charts. Only 2 points in the last 4 games. I know they've got the young lad, Fabio Silva, up front now, but results are going to need to start coming in thick and fast for Wolves because, they've got the talent in their squad to be, challenging for the European places, and they are heavily underperforming. I don't think they're going to stay in this kind of position. I do see them fighting back up into 10th and kind of that higher end of the table. I really do. They play some good football, so I'd like to see Wolves turn it around. Leeds, 12th place. Pretty much bang on my predictions as well. I was optimistic at the time, but now, I think the rest of the football community have seen what Leeds can do. Playing some sensational football under Marcelo Bielsa. Some of the most free-flowing, attacking football the Premier League has ever seen. We've also, conceded probably the most goals, second most goals in the Premier League at the moment, but we're going to gloss over that. We've been on a really good run of form. We've picked up 3 wins in the last 5, and there are no draws with Leeds. We either demolish a team or we're going to get battered. And I don't really mind that because we're going to pick up more wins than the teams around us. And those 3 points are going to be so important going forward. So we've had a fantastic season so far. I really don't believe in the Bielsa burnout. I don't think that that's going to come into effect. So if we can fight our way up to 10th, that would be sensational for a first year back in the Premier League. 11th, Arsenal. I was hoping to do this video while Arsenal were 3 points above the relegation zone as they were a couple of weeks back. But they seem to have turned things around under Mikel Arteta and are actually topping the form table over the past 3 games. How about that? Arsenal, top of the form table, 3 wins on the bounce. Is Arteta the right man for the job? That remains to be seen. It's still one of Arsenal's worst seasons in the Premier League history. And they certainly shouldn't be languishing in the bottom half of the table. But the performances this year, I think there's a clear blueprint for Arsenal. The young lads, Saka, Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe, are the way forward. And I think a couple of the senior players are washed up and the reason for Arsenal's recent decline. Players like Aubameyang, Willian, Granit Xhaka, past their prime and really not contributing to Arsenal's fortunes at the moment. So I think as long as Arteta sticks with the young guns, they should be all right. West Ham in 10th, a team having a much better season than I thought they would. They've really turned things around from the turmoil that we thought they were going to suffer at the start of the season. Losing Diangana, having terrible owners. That all seems to have quietened down a little bit with the results that they've been getting under David Moyes. They've done really well to establish themselves as a mid-table Premier League club at the moment, picking up results and really kind of grinding away at the table. I actually don't see them slipping much further down the table. I don't really see them climbing up the table too much. I think West Ham are a good benchmark for the 10th place mid-table benchmark for other teams to I guess, rate themselves against. Chelsea sit in 9th place at the moment, and is it time for Frank Lampard to go? They've spent £250 million in the transfer window with the intent of winning the Premier League and having a deep run in the Champions League as well. And it's just not been happening for them. They've been so inconsistent. Their marquee signings aren't firing on all cylinders. Timo Werner, the other young German lad. Jesus, what's his name? Kai Havertz. It's just not happening for them at the moment. And as a coach, is Lampard really getting the most out of these players? They should be doing far better than this. I had them at 3rd and genuine Premier League title contenders. And anything less than, a Champions League finish this year is unacceptable. We know Chelsea have a track record for getting rid of the managers, and I know he's a club legend, but I mean, if this form continues, if Lampard's not in the top 4 in a month or two, then I reckon he's gone. Villa are in 8th. They're having a sensational season so far, and one that I did not see coming at all. I had him 19th in my predictions at the start of the year. Jack Grealish has been a revelation. Well, not really. We all knew about his talent, but this season he's really, stepped up, come into his own, and he's dictating games from the midfield. That whole Villa team seems to revolve around him. They've brought in some extra talent from the Championship. Ollie Watkins seems to be doing a decent job. And Emi Martinez keeping quite a few clean sheets in goal for them as well. They've got games in hand, and Villa could really seriously be looking at challenging for the European spots this year. A team I had no faith in going forwards into the season, but I've been pleasantly surprised. Villa look a real threat. Everton are in 7th at the moment. They've been a little bit streaky under Carlo Ancelotti. They've had really decent runs, and then they've also had, a few weeks of non-performances, if you will. I predicted them 7th in my pre-season predictions, and it's pretty much bang on. I definitely thought Everton were going to have a good year this year, and 7th or 8th, I would say that's a pretty good start. Suffering the first defeat after 4 consecutive wins on the bounce, which had them in 3rd. And it just goes to show you how close the Premier League is this year. 4th place to 12th place are separated by just 6 points. So, 2 wins and a couple of losses above you, that's half the table that are, so closely cluttered together that you can easily jump up. So, it's a close season so far. Everton, I reckon they're going to be hanging around that 7th, 8th, 6th, 9th spot for the majority of the season. Southampton are in 6th, coming off the back of a historic win over Liverpool at Anfield, 1-0, which saw Ralph Hasenhüttl in tears at the end of the game. His emotions got the better of him there. But, what a year. What a season Southampton have been having. It was only this time last year that they were battered 9-0 by Leicester, and they considered getting rid of him. They've stuck with him, and the results have, bore fruit for Southampton. The only question I have is, are they going to, have the stamina to keep this momentum up for the entire season? I mean, as it is, they are really challenging for the European places. Are they still going to have enough in the tank to keep going, come March? Southampton are one of the teams that Leeds haven't played yet. We played them, I think, after we do Brighton, and that'll be a really good benchmark to see if Leeds can take points off Southampton. I'm predicting a draw for that game. Into the top 5 now. Man City are currently 5th with a couple of games in hand, and they've really started to turn their form around. Some really, really good games recently under Pep, and they've started to really find that clinical edge that they had in previous seasons, really dominating the midfield. Kevin De Bruyne really stepping up, and they're up there with Arsenal on the form table, 3 wins in a row. With Liverpool's form at the moment really looking shaky, I can see Man City really, putting together a strong charge for the top, which is something I had in my predictions at the start of the year. I thought they were going to win it, and based on Liverpool's current form, I think it's not out of the realms of possibility to say that this could be Man City's year. Spurs are sitting 4th. Jose Mourinho's men are not the most exciting team to watch, but they are getting the results. They're getting the job done however they see fit, which is a common trait with the Mourinho teams. There was talk maybe a couple of months ago about Spurs being genuine title contenders. I don't see it myself. I think there are a couple of other teams that have more kind of talent in depth and a little bit of a better style of play than Spurs. You'd be a brave man to bet against them. Could they make top 4 at the end of the year? I think they are heavy contenders, and I reckon it will be a successful season for Spurs if they maintain that 4th place. Leicester in 3rd. It's all about consistency with Leicester at the moment. Flown under the radar at times a little bit, but they have put the results together when needed. And there's not really much to say about Leicester. They're constantly on the precipice of European football, breaking into the Champions League at times. Leicester are just one of those teams which I feel like they've got a lot of depth within the squad. They can get a couple of injuries and suspensions and still have a really, really competitive squad. So I see Leicester maybe dropping out a little bit. I did have them 9th at the start of the season. I don't think they're going to be falling that far behind. And I reckon a solid 5th, 6th place finish at the end of the season would do Leicester quite nicely. Into the top 2, Man United are in 2nd place. Ole is truly at the wheel, and he seems to be guiding them onto the path that they've always wanted. Is 2021 the year for the 21st title for Man United? It's a possibility, and one that we didn't see coming at all. After having such an appalling start to the season, they've really turned it around. I think there's been an element of luck in play there. Results have gone their way. But they have a game in hand over Liverpool, and they're equal on points, so they have a chance to top the table for the first time in what I believe is years. So it's not something that we love to see, but Man United are in pole position at the moment and really look like they are mounting a serious title challenge. And Liverpool are currently 1st. They do top the table. They have played an extra game though, and their form hasn't looked great. No wins in the past 3 games, most recently suffering that 1-0 loss against Southampton. Has the momentum started to die? Are the injuries finally catching up with Jurgen Klopp's squad? I don't think it's too far out of the realms of possibility that maybe they're out of stamina. They've performed so brilliantly for 2 years now, but there does come a point where teams slip away. We've seen it with Arsenal. We've seen it with Manchester United. Could this be Liverpool's time? They have had a lot of injury problems, and when they get those players back, we could see a bit of a resurgence. But Liverpool need to turn things around, because at the moment, their hopes of retaining the title look to be slipping away. Well, that is it for my mid-table Premier League season review. A couple of shockers in there and a couple of ones that we expected to see. This season has been so topsy-turvy. There has not been a team running away with it, and it's been very, very difficult to call a prediction. Teams, on the day, a team can beat any other team, much like the Championship in that regard. That'll be a video coming soon. But thank you very much for watching. If you've liked the video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. We're going to be aiming to bring out more and more content. 2021 is our year, and we're going to hope to make it a really good one. I'll be coming back tomorrow with some Leeds United transfer news. Keep an eye out for that, and maybe a Championship table video is in the works as well. That's going to be all from me. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, stay safe.